Hey guys, my name is Crystal May and welcome to Hips and Hamstrings. This is one of my favorite classes to teach. Over the years, I have found that this practice alone can help reduce tension in the hips, the low back, the knees, the hamstrings, the quads. It's incredible what an effect this one has. So we're going to start with the hips, we're going to end with the hamstrings. Let's get going. The greatest thing about hips and hamstrings is that even if you're a seasoned practitioner, this practice is not easy. However, if you're new, you will not be left behind. So no matter what, I promise this practice is for you. Let's get started. We're going to start this practice off with one of my favorite poses in the world, and it's called dragon. And so we're going to go into a low lunge. So you're going to come forward, you're going to take your right foot, and you're going to step it towards the top of your mat. Now take your feet, say about hip width distance apart to start. However, if you want to go a little bit further, you might find that that creates more stability. Go where your bone structure wants you to go. And so don't be shy about forcing the legs to line up how you think they should, and just kind of notice what happens. So if you lunge into this and you find that your knee is kind of pulling towards the side and you're having a hard time grounding through the ball of the foot, especially the mound underneath the big toe, then walk your foot wider. There's nothing wrong with creating a little bit more space for your stance. Now from here, you're going to take your blocks, you're going to pile up one flat, one tall, and you're going to place it underneath your left hand. Now you're going to take your right hip, pull it back just a touch, and then you're going to drop the tailbone down towards the ground. That's it. Now roll the shoulders back, lengthen up through the spine just a touch, and then as you exhale, lunge in, and you're going to feel a deep stretch into that left hip flexor. Now stay here. I'm going to start a timer here. We're going to hold each of these poses for about a minute or two. Don't panic, it's worse than you think it is. Just kidding. Okay, now notice the first thing that's going to happen is your shoulders are going to pop up or your hips are going to try and pull back. And you might have to readjust that multiple times. You're going to try and keep the hips as square as you feel comfortable. Keep the tailbone slightly anchoring down, and you're just going to lunge right back into that front thigh. That's it. Stay with me. Dragon pose is going to help isolate the hip flexors and more specifically the iliopsoas. Now the iliopsoas is actually two muscles that kind of are parallel to each other. They run parallel up your body, and so they kind of get lumped in to be one muscle. And so it's your iliacus and your psoas, and they both are like into the hip crease. And so your psoas actually goes from your hip all the way through the pelvis to the low back. It actually spreads across the entire lumbar spine. And so a lot of times low back pain is actually as a result of really tight hip flexors. And so working with physiotherapists for years, many of them have expressed that 90% of low back pain has nothing to do with your low back and so much more to do with your hips. And so as somebody who has a low back injury, the best way for me to reduce tension from my low back is to actually get into these specific muscles. So dragon pose is actually part of my morning routine. I do this pose every single day, and it's hands down the best pose I've ever found to release tension from my low back. And so it is such an important pose. I can't stress it enough. To me, it's like the one-stop shop. It's the Costco of yoga poses. It doesn't matter what you need. This one's gonna help release tension from your hips, your knees, and your low back. And so if you only have time for one pose a day, make it dragon. It's worth it. Okay, take 2 more breaths here. And then from here, you're going to take your hands forward, and you're going to take hands back down onto the ground, and you're going to reach back into a downward facing dog. Now don't be shy to kind of pedal the feet out, move the body just a little bit. And we're going to go into another hip opener on the same side. So you're going to take your right leg, you're going to sweep it up and then come forward into a pigeon pose on the right. So your right knee goes towards the right wrist and you're going to rest down onto your shin. Now take your back knee, walk it just like a touch further back so that you get a little bit more length out of your pigeon. And if you find that that just immediately puts pressure on your knee, then take the foot that's in towards you, the right foot, and pull it closer in towards the pelvis, or walk the left knee back up again to where you were. Now you can actually lift yourself back up if you're trying to get back into that left hip flexor. The taller you make your spine, the more it's going to pull into the front line. However, your pelvis is being tilted forward. So if you actually go forward with the pelvis, your spine actually wants to go forward. The pelvis is the foundation of the spine, so wherever the pelvis wants to go, the spine will follow. And so if you lean forward, sometimes it can feel quite a bit easier. Now, if you find that elbows on the ground still is too heavy, don't be shy to stick something underneath your elbows, kind of a middle ground, and then you play around from there. And we're gonna hold this for about 1.5 minutes. Stay with me. You can do this. And for your last half a minute, if you want to make this just a little bit deeper, you can always take the back knee, walk it just a little bit further back, or you can take your elbows either closer down towards the ground or take the elbows away from each other and get your belly to drop closer down. I know that there's a lot of us that think the forehead touching the ground equals like you've completed pigeon pose. Sadly, that is not true. And I find that if you actually hinge more at the hips and let the belly fall first, that's where you're gonna get the pressure and the external rotation in your front hip. What about the spine being long and folding rather than trying to round to get the forehead down? Okay, take 2 more breaths here. I promise I'll talk less on the left side. Okay guys, you're gonna come back up onto your palms. This time you're gonna roll over towards your right hip. Sitting on your right hip, you're gonna take your right shin, make it parallel to the top of your mat so that your heel lines up with your knee. Now take your left leg, you're gonna swing it around, you're gonna step it to the outside of the right knee. Now if already you're like, nope, don't panic, I'll give you options. Now from here, you're gonna make sure both ankles are nice and strong, just because I find that it'll engage the muscles around the joints and just keep them more stabilized, especially because your knee is now in a bend and a twist. And so it's the most vulnerable it can ever be. And so by engaging the ankles, you're just allowing the muscles to support the joint a little bit more. Now from here, you're gonna take your left glute, drop it down towards the ground. Now, find that the shins are stacked on top of each other best you can. So there's a good chance your right foot's gonna wanna pull in towards your left hip. Try not to let it. As you can see, my shins don't touch. I have a great range of motion. I'm very flexible. My shins still don't touch because of my back injury. So you take a block and you stick, or 3 blocks, I don't care. Do whatever you need to do, but you're gonna find this stability. And so you're gonna put a block between the ankle and the knee, and you're gonna allow this to be set up. Now take the time to find your sweet spot where you find a deep external rotation into your hips, and just allow yourself to kind of settle into this pose. This is called fire log. Fire log is, well, it's juicy. It's got a lot of personality to it. And so if you are like, feeling this guy, stay with me. You're supposed to feel it, but make sure that what you're feeling is that achiness around your hips and not a shooting pain in your knee. If you're feeling this in your knee, I want you to make a different pose. You could potentially find more support. So maybe a block underneath this hip, a block or underneath this knee, block underneath the bottom knee, totally fine. You can also do figure 4 instead. So you're gonna roll back over towards the right hip, straighten, and then you're gonna take that ankle, cross it over top, and then bend into the bottom knee. And it's the exact same external rotation, so you're not gonna miss out on the pose. Please do what your joints are allowing you to do. If your body's communicating something with you, there's a reason behind it, and so just be mindful. Now if you're looking to make this pose deeper, I don't know why you would, but in case you are, You can always lean the body forward again. So remember to take the pelvis and just think like anterior tilt with the pelvis. So think stick your booty back just a touch, lengthen out through the spine, and then just hinge a little forward at the hips. And the second you do, you're gonna feel a lot more pull into the hips. Make sure it's the hips that you're feeling, not into the knee. You feeling this yet? You can stay here till you do. I know, fire log is juicy. I tried to warn you. I tried. Take 2 more breaths. You're almost there. You're right there. Okay guys, to come out, you're gonna come all the way back up. Try not to just flop the legs out just because your knee is a little bit vulnerable. So you're gonna roll over towards your right hip. You're gonna sit on your right glutes, straighten the right leg, and then you're gonna slowly unravel your legs. Okay, how we doing? The hips are always juicy to open. There is the transition with your neurotransmitters where things start to actually feel good rather than just uncomfortable. And we all know that feeling when you stretch and you're like, oh, it feels so good to create that space. I promise you it's coming. So just stay with it. Who's excited for the left? I can feel all the excitement. Okay, so we're gonna go dragon pose on the left side. Make your way back into a downward facing dog. Take your left leg, step it towards the top of the mat, into your low lunge. Drop your knee down towards the ground. Start with your feet about hip width distance apart. And then you're going to maybe widen out the stance, maybe take your blocks for a little bit more support. Take the time to set yourself up. I promise there's no urgency in these poses, and so just take as much time as you need. Now pull back through the left hip. You're gonna take the tailbone, anchor it down, lengthen out through the spine, soften the shoulders, and then lunge into that front thigh. That's it. Now your target is gonna be the left hip flexors, and by left I mean right. And so if as long as you're feeling it into the muscles, awesome, stay with me. If you need to pad the back knee, do so. If these blocks are too tall, take your hands forward. If you want to go a little bit further forward, you can always make this space here, okay? Try not to let your knee pass your ankle if you can help it, just allowing the bones to kind of like support each other by stacking them best you can. And you're gonna hang out here. You know, check on your alignment again, check on your shoulders, make sure they're soft, make sure that your core is just slightly supporting, keep that squaring, keep that tiny posterior tilt. Okay, take 2 more breaths here. And we're gonna go back into pigeon on the left side. So you're gonna slowly take the blocks, whatever those things are called, reach back into your downward facing dog. And then you're gonna go pigeon on the left. So take your left knee forward, press down onto the shin. Take your knee nice and wide if you can, and then you're gonna take your back knee, walk it just a touch further back, and then you're gonna come down onto your elbows from here. Again, you can hold yourself up, you can support the elbows, make whatever variation of this pose you want that's gonna serve you. Okay, for your last half a minute, if you want to make this deeper, now is the time to try. If it doesn't work for you, just go back to where you were. You can actually even make it more subtle if you want to. Otherwise, if you're looking to kind of gain more range of motion, you're going to make this a little bit deeper. So maybe the back knee goes a little further back, maybe the elbows goes out towards the side. Find any kind of adjustment that you need to, that you think is going to serve you. Okay, take one more breath here. And then we're gonna go into fire log. So come back up, last pose on the left, stay with me. You're gonna roll over towards your left hip. You're gonna take your left shin parallel to the top of your mat. Now from here, you're gonna roll over towards your left hip, take your right leg, swing it around, step it to the outside of the knee, and then you're gonna slowly drop your right glutes back down, and you're gonna take the time to set yourself up so that your shins are stacked best you can. When you look down, you should be able to see both shins, just gently the front of both. And so make sure that the left leg isn't trying to tuck its way back in. Again, if you need a little bit more support, you can see I have more range of motion on this side. They still don't touch. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean you're a bad yogi. It just means that this is space that you have to grow. You get yourself into a comfortable position. Maybe comfortable is a loose term. And hang out here. Now, if you want to make this deeper right away, you're going to grab the flesh of the glutes, pull it back just like a touch, and then you can again lengthen out through the spine, think tiny anterior tilt with your pelvis, and then hinge slightly forward. My favorite way to do this is actually just to rest my elbows on my shin. I promise you there's no wrong answer. Just make sure your knee is not communicating anything poorly with you. You have about half a minute left. Stay with me. Do you feel it? Now again, if you want to make this deeper for the very last one, that's what I find is the best way to slowly gain more and more range of motion, is kind of think of it on running terms. It's like your last kilometer can be like your sprint. And so this is where you get a little bit heavier. So if you can, if there's a block between your knee and your ankle, you can always turn it onto a lower height or take it out, or even lean subtly more forward. Now, if you find that increasing the tension is too much for you, You have to be able to surrender more than you're putting in effort into this pose. There's going to be effort in this pose, but there should always be more surrender. The more surrender you have, the more your muscles and your tissues are going to be able to release, which means that you're going to be able to get deeper into trying to stretch them out. It's really hard to stretch muscles and tissues that are engaged. One of my yin teachers used to call it like the Goldilocks position. Too much, not enough, just right. And so find yours, because I promise it's sitting there. Okay, take one more breath. That may have been more than half a minute. Okay, come back up. You're gonna roll over towards your left hip. That's it. And then you're gonna straighten out the leg, slowly roll back, and unravel the legs. Okay guys, now that we've opened up the hips, we're gonna get into the hamstrings. To do this series, you're going to need a strap. Now, if you don't have an official yoga strap, you can use a belt, a scarf, like a dog toy, a cat. Please don't use a cat, that's weird. But you're just gonna need something that will help you reach your foot. And so a strap is really awesome. So you're gonna grab your strap and you're gonna roll onto your back. Okay, from your back, you're gonna take your strap and you're gonna take it around the ball of the right foot. Now I like to use the strap as a whole and then grab either side. Some people like to make a loop out of their strap and then put that around the ball of your foot and just use the strap as one angle. Either is fine, there's no wrong answer. Okay. We have a guest teacher today. Okay. Okay, so you're gonna take it around the ball of the foot, you're gonna pull the knee in towards the chest, and then you're gonna extend that leg straight up towards the sky. And the goal is just to try and get a good amount of length out of the back of the hamstrings and into the calves. So if you find that there's any resistance into the hamstrings, the low back, just anything that doesn't feel right, if you bend into the left knee, it takes away a ton of the tension. Now from here, if you find that it's just like still too much, just don't pull as hard. Like your intention is to try and get a stretch out of it, but you're not trying to hurt yourself. So straighten out as much as you can. And then from here, you're gonna take a nice slow deep breath in. And as you exhale, you're gonna bend your elbows and you're gonna pull the leg in towards you until you feel a stretch in your hamstrings. And then as you inhale, you're gonna release it out just like an inch or two at most. And then you're gonna do it again. Exhale, pull it in. And then as you inhale, release it out. You're gonna keep doing that for about 2 minutes. So each time you exhale, you pull the leg in. Try not to bend the knee if you can help it. If you have an issue with your knee, a little bend is not going to hurt, but you want to just keep the leg as straight as you can so that you get a pull into the back line of the body. Okay, so each time you exhale, you pull it in. Each time you inhale, you release it out, and then just keep going just like that. We're going to literally spend 2 minutes in this position. So I just want you to think when you exhale, you're going to pull the leg in towards you so your muscles involuntarily soften just a touch. And then as you inhale, you're going to release it out just a little bit more. Okay? Just keep going. Yeah, this feels like a great place for you to have a bath. Move slowly and just move with the breath. take 2 more breaths here. Okay, now from here, you're gonna start to take both sides of the straps into the right hand. So just let the leg come up to where it's comfortable, and then both sides of the straps is gonna go into the right hand. Now you're gonna take your right hand as high up towards the right foot as you feel comfortable with, and then you're gonna take the bottoms of the straps into the left hand. Okay, hopefully I have enough space to do this. You're literally laying exactly where I need. Oh, yeah, okay. No, get more comfy, that's fine. Okay, so from here, you're gonna take your right knee and you're gonna pull it towards the side. Think like a half happy baby kind of move. So you're gonna pull it over towards like the armpit, towards the side of the ribs. And then just keeping a good grip on it, you're gonna slowly extend that leg out at like a 45-ish degree angle. So I've seen people do this one where it's just like resting on the ground. The leg can absolutely rest on the ground. There's nothing wrong with that. I just find that we can get kind of around the bone structure and get more range of motion if the leg sits 45 degrees. There's no wrong way to do this, so please do this however it suits you. Now from here, you're going to take a nice slow deep breath in, and then as you exhale, you're going to take this leg and you're going to pull it up towards your body. So think like if you were trying to get your shin to come towards the right ear or towards like the side of the shoulder or towards your cat. Hi. Then you can just think pull up towards this way, okay? And you're gonna do the exact same thing. I know, but you're right in the way. You're gonna do the same thing for 2 minutes. So you're gonna think exhale, pull it up towards you, and then inhale, release it out. Can't give up. Now, if you find that this is like you're really pouring over towards the right side, so you feel like your whole body is having a really hard time staying center, then you can always bend into the left knee and then just drop the left knee towards the side, and it'll act like an anchor and it'll even out your pelvis. And so you just want this leg to kind of go out at an angle, but if you have heavy legs, like I have muscular legs, I have really heavy legs. It took me a really long time to get the strength in my arms to be able to hold my leg up. And so don't be shy to use your left leg like an anchor. It works really, really well. And don't be shy also, if it helps, you're gonna put a block underneath your right elbow. So if you find you can't quite get your elbow down towards the ground, put a block underneath your elbow, and then you kind of have something to push off of as you pull the leg up, if that makes sense. Okay, let's play. Okay, with your leg back up in center, you're going to take the straps into the left hand, so the opposite hand. You're going to keep the leg again as straight as you feel comfortable with, and then you're going to take the leg and slowly pull it up towards you. So again, you get a little bit of a pull. If you can, try and keep the left leg straight. If you can't, please respect the limitations of your body. It's totally fine. You're going to take this leg, and if this was the center of your body, so this is midline, like right down the center of your body, you're going to take this leg and you're just going to cross over midline towards the left side. Now take your heel, push it away from your hip, and then you're going to take the pinky side of the foot and you're going to pull it back towards you. Now if you have tight calves, that's going to go right into your calves, but we're trying to isolate the IT band a little bit more. Now there's a ton of debate whether you can or cannot stretch out the IT band. All I know is that when I do take time to isolate my IT band, the tension in my knees reduces. And so there's a lot of science behind it. I think that we're still learning a lot about the connective tissue. So only time will tell if this actually is effective or not. Even if we're only getting into the calves and the hamstrings for this guy, it's still just as effective. And so even if the target area changes. So you're going to think about pulling back through the ball of the foot, pull back the pinky side. From here, you're going to take your right hand, take your right thumb into your right hip crease. You're going to take that hip and you're going to push it down towards your left foot. So you're literally going to watch this hip drop, and that's going to get even deeper into here. Just breathe. This one there's no movement. The other two there's movement. This one there's none. So just stay with it. Okay, let's try and soften the shoulders. If you find that just over midline is not deep enough for you, keep going over towards the side until you feel it, and just hold. Try and keep your right shoulder blade down. And if you find that this is starting to get like comfortable, is kind of a loose term, you're going to just gently pull up and over just a touch more. Take 2 more breaths here. Okay, now the next time you inhale, come back up to center. You're going to give me 3 pulls, and each time you exhale, you're going to pull the leg in a little bit closer each time. Try not to let go of the tension. Try not to bend your knee, and do not hurt yourself, okay? Take a nice slow deep breath in, and then as you exhale, bend your elbows, pull the leg in towards you. Now inhale, stay there, don't move, try not to let go of the tension. Exhale, pull it in just like a millimeter closer. Do that one more time. Deep breath in. Exhale, find a good expression of the hamstrings. Pull that leg in nice and close. And then as you exhale, slowly let it go. Let it go. Woo. Okay, take soles of the feet down onto the ground. You can either just rest the knees against each other into like a teepee shape, or you can even like windshield wiper the knees. So just do whatever you feel like you want to do. You can put some movement into them as well. Notice the difference between right and left. Every time I do this series, I'm always so surprised at how much tension I'm holding in my legs that I didn't even realize. Now, if you need more time before we switch legs, just pause the video and take as much time as you need. Once you're ready to switch sides, you're going to take the strap around the ball of the left foot, pull the knee in towards the chest, and then extend that leg straight up towards the sky. Okay, you're going to have different range of motion between the right and the left. Please don't force the left leg to do something that the right could or couldn't do. And so just be mindful that the offerings are going to be different. You don't treat the right and left side of your body the same, so they're not going to behave the same. And that's okay. And not everything needs to be perfectly parallel. Just offer it the same amount of tension, but try not to force the same range of motion. It's a completely different conversation, okay? So if you need to, Tiny bend if you have a knee issue. If not, keep it as straight as you possibly can. Try not to bend it any more than you have to. Bend or straighten that right leg. I promise there's no answer. Be mindful of your low back. And you're going to take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, pull the leg in towards you. Now as you inhale, you're going to release out just a touch. And do it again. Exhale, pull it in. And inhale, release it out. Keep going just like that. Exhale. And inhale. 2 minutes. You take 2 more breaths here. And then you're going to go into the adductor stretch. So you're going to take the legs straight back up. You're going to take the straps into the left hand. So same hand to same foot. You're going to take that leg, pull it wide into a half happy baby, and then extend that leg out at a 45-ish degree angle. Okay, now do the best you can to kind of get a hold of these straps. And if you don't want to hold on to the strap, if you can reach, you can always hold on to the leg. But if you find that your leg is too far away, keep the shoulder blades down. So it's all about where your range of motion sits. That's why we have the strap, because you don't have to reach your leg. And so you're going to take a deep breath in, and then as you exhale, you're going to pull the leg in towards you, and then as you inhale, release it out. Same thing as the other side. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, release it out. Keep going, just like that, 2 minutes. Okay, take 2 more breaths from here. From here, you're going to take that leg straight back up, and you're going to take the straps into the opposite hand. Now keep the leg as straight as you feel comfortable with. You're going to pull it slightly in towards you. Think if this was middle, you're going to cross over middle. And so you're just going to take this leg and you're going to cross over the midline towards the right side. And then once you feel a pull, just stop there. You're just looking for tension. Once you find your tension, just hang out there. Now take the heel, push it away from the hip, take the pinky side of the foot and pull it back towards you just a touch. You're going to feel it pull right into the outside of the leg. Okay, now if you find that you want to make this deeper, pull it a little higher up or even go a little further over. Once you feel it, just hang out there. Okay, now take your left hand, take it right into that left hip crease and then push the hip down towards the right foot. And that drop of the hip is going to pull even deeper into this leg. Try not to let the leg drop as you make that adjustment. And even actually as you push the hip down, try and pull the leg up just a touch more. You're going to feel that. Take 2 more breaths here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, pull the leg in towards you. Inhale, stay there, don't move. Exhale, pull it in a little bit closer. Try not to bend the knee. Last one, deep breath in. Exhale, pull the leg in as close as you feel comfortable. Don't hurt yourself. Exhale, slowly let it go. Okay guys, that's your class. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing your practice. If you have any questions or anything, please let me know. Don't forget to click down onto the button and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Namaste.